Merle Haggard, the Redd Volkaert years, 1997 to 2003. Redd Volkaert playing with Merle Haggard and the Strangers. In theory, this has to be one of the most iconic guitar pairings in country music, at least for hardcore country fans. You had Norm Hamlet on pedal steel. That's going to be a pretty smoking live show. There's actually very little documentation of Redd's time with Merle Haggard. So let's take a look at what we do have and enjoy, just for a few minutes, what happened when Redd Volkaert joined Merle Haggard and the Strangers. Redd toured with Merle from 1997 to 2003, so about 6 years in total. This is a time when there's no smartphone footage or anything like that from any fans, so we only have these one or two official recorded videos that exist, and of course any of the studio work that they would have done together.
Long as you make them laugh, you got the gig. So it was like, oh, okay. So we'd be playing, and I'd play a solo, and he'd do, Every Fool Is a Rainbow, and I'd start my solo. Of course, he'd be laughing his ass off at that. So I thought, he likes the Roy Nichols kind of solos. So that kind of made the tip of the hat thing mean more.
Here's another clip of the Crystal Palace show. This is What Am I Gonna Do With the Rest of My Life? Just a beautiful Haggard tune with Redd Volkaert playing lead guitar.
Of my life, play it all the way, Ray.
The story goes Redd Volkaert was playing in Nashville at Printer's Alley. He's playing at the Rainbow Room. When Haggard would come to Nashville to do a TV taping or a radio appearance, they would usually wrap up around 6, 7 p.m. And of course, Redd's band didn't go on until 9:30 at night. They played till almost 3 a.m. So often, Joe Manuel and Clint Strom, the guitar players who were playing with Merle at the time, would come visit the Rainbow Room, and they would jam on stage with Redd Volkaert. So that's how we get to know the band, and more importantly, that's how they get to know Redd Volkaert and his playing. So one day the phone rings, and it's Merle Haggard, and he wants to know if Redd Volkaert is interested in touring with him. He said that Joe Manuel had left the band to go on tour with Leanne Womack as a band leader. Merle asked who they thought he should get on guitar, and the majority of them said Redd Volkaert. So Redd says yes, of course, and he joins Merle just a few weeks later for their first show, which would take place in Kanutke, California, at a yacht club in around mid-1997. Redd says they were doing about 50 to 60 dates a year, and Redd is also in the studio recording with Merle at this time. He claims to have recorded a lot of stuff in the studio with Haggard. A lot of it was never released, and some of it was new stuff, and some of it was a recutting of the older hits. But of the stuff that Redd did, let's take a look at what he's actually credited as. So here we can see 1999 is the first time he's officially credited on a Haggard record. Now, the one thing about these albums, the bottom three are records that Redd is listed on playing, but there's honestly very little electric guitar on any of those three records. These first two albums, for the record, that's 43 legendary hits, so that's actually a re-recording of all of Merle's big songs with Redd Volkaert playing on it. Of course, Norm is on it as well, but none of this stuff exists online. You can't find it on YouTube, Spotify. It's out of print. Same goes for this Motorcycle Cowboy album, which is live at Billy Bob's, another record that is damn near impossible to find a copy of. So I can't tell you what these sound like, but if you want to hear Redd on record playing with Merle, I think these are the two albums that you gotta have. Unfortunately, there is nothing on vinyl. So if you want to hear Redd Volkaert playing on a vinyl record, it's not going to be a Merle Haggard album. I've got a couple more clips from the Crystal Palace show, and then I've got a really nice clip, which I'm going to save for last. This one here is Silver Wings, the great Haggard tune, and a pretty recognizable guitar part. Here's Merle and Redd transitioning between solos.
Ladies and gentlemen, Redd Volkaert.
Okay, so Redd officially wrapped up his time with Haggard in 2003. He says the reason he left the band was simply because they weren't playing enough dates. They were just doing about 50 or 60 shows a year. And he was married at the time. I guess this would have been Redd's first marriage. And his wife was complaining to him about them not having enough money, him not having enough work. So that's why he left the band. So that could very well be all there is to it. Norman Stevens replaced Redd in the band, but important to note that Merle took on playing the solos himself for the next 4 or 5 years after this, so Norman's mostly playing rhythm guitar in the group. There would never be another pairing of Redd Volkaert and Merle Haggard playing together.
I mean, he even said, and I think in a Guitar Player magazine or at some point about a year after I was in the band, he said that he thought that I was the closest thing he'd ever heard to Roy in an article. So I paid him until he died.
So with the nicest clip I have of Redd and Merle Haggard and the Strangers, this is Working Man's Blues again, but this is on a TV show. So it's a little more high fidelity in the audio and the video department. And check out the smile on Merle Haggard at the end of the clip. It's a little hard to see, but I'm pretty sure he's grinning from ear to ear as Redd resolves his solo and ends up back on the one chord in Working Man's Blues.
Here come a working man chorus, folks.
The Redd Volkaert years, 1997 to 2003. Take care, keep it country. We'll see you next time for another video about classic country music, honky tonk, pedal steel guitar, stuff like this. Okay, take care.